What's up, Cable 2? Ooh. Hello, Cable Dogs. Hey, Buffs! Welcome back. How are you? Hello. Who have we got now? Unit of Buffs. Hello, everybody. How are we sounding today? We've taken a little time off for multiple reasons, and there's I've made some adaptations to make sure that we're a little bit smoother again today. As you can see, I've my digital image inducer, my face stealer, is currently in the shop. It's quite process heavy, as it turns out, as was a lot of the other stuff I'm doing. Even the opening credits was not smooth, but smoother than typically expected this time. So I think maybe some of the changes I've made have hopefully done the trick, and we're going to have a nice smooth show today. God, I'm picking up from the last show I did, and the last show I did, I was talking about having to pick up from having taken this New Year's break that we all kind of took, where we're working on all our weird stuff. I think Maxine put in the chat earlier today, or the day before, about the sheer amount of things that we've done just this month. Just an insane amount of new projects. We did Matrix, we did Masked Singer. Last time I was talking, we'd only done the big Matrix thing. I don't think we'd even done Masked Singer yet. I was talking about all the crazy things we've tried to do this year in season 2, and we've got a lot more season 2 stuff planned as well. There is a lot that's going to be going on. So I'm picking up after all that, after having a long break because my spaceship crashed for a little while, and we're working on so many other things. But now I'm back, and we're going to try and pretend as if nothing weird ever happened. There was no pause, and we've been doing exactly this entire time. So I'm just going to act as though I'm continuing from where we were. So last thing we were talking about was starting to make our own Cable 2 franchise, and I don't think that's impossible. Now, I haven't released it yet. I haven't shown anyone or talked to anyone about this, but there will be something I'm going to put on the socials. Probably, I mean, it's made for TikTok, but I'll probably put it over on the Twitter as well. In the interest of the things we've been talking about. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Sheeda. Welcome. Are you skiving off work to watch right now? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. All right, maybe the other floating head that we had for a while was an idealized Maiko. That was maybe the Maiko of just long enough ago that I was slightly different. Thank you. Yeah, the frame rate is not looking bad right now. You can see my mouth actually moves more or less in time with what I'm saying, which I don't think it's done in months. And that was largely my fault. Some of it is out of my control, out of my hands. But this much I've been able to do. I found some new tricks, some things that I wasn't doing that I should have been doing, and I've stopped doing some things that I was doing that I shouldn't have been doing. And I think we're all good now. But yeah, what I was saying was I've been making this thing in this sort of vein of what we were talking about, in this gap between us saying we can create stuff and that we have the talent, we have the skills, we're all willing to learn skills. Egg and myself have both been on a bit of a kick of learning visual effects, learning After Effects, and I've been practicing that a lot in the last week or so. I've made this new thing, and I've been talking about doing more creative narrative things. The After Effects stuff, I've been having ideas for, wouldn't it be cool if I could make this happen, and then trying to make it happen. And it's teaching me a lot just about that side of filmmaking in general. And basically, I figure that's probably how the Wachowskis worked out the Matrix, right? They just had an idea. Wouldn't it be cool if Trinity was floating in the air and we went all around her? No one's done that before, but I can see it in my head. So at some point, that's going to be possible, right? And then they just figured out how to do it. They just asked the right people. They looked up the right tutorials or whatever the equivalent of that is on a multi-million-dollar film set, and they figured out how to do it, and they did it. And that's what I've been trying to do. does appear I've frozen slightly, but I think my sound is still coming through. So we jinxed it. But you knew we were going to, didn't you? You knew we were going to jinx it. Let's see if I can't refresh myself. Why would it freeze? I mean, it's just a camera feed. How can a camera feed go wrong, huh? It'll work itself out. It usually does. We'll see if it's really worth doing anything about. But in the course of making this thing, it's really got me thinking about what we were talking about last time I was able to do a show. I mean, it's fine. Look, at least it froze on a. I mean, I won't say flattering, but it could have been much worse. You know, it caught me with both my eyes open at the very least. It's not the worst freeze frame. We can survive this temporary freeze, I think. Hopefully temporary. Or else I'm going to switch to the close-up shot and it's still going to refresh into this freeze, which again I'm fine with. But in not demonic at all. Which it's hard. You can't. If you're scrubbing through a video of yourself, it's very hard not to land on a frame that makes you look the absolute worst you can look. So I think I've come out all right, come out on top in this situation. In the course of making this little video, which I'll show you over the next couple of days, it has got me thinking about what we're talking about. That it is possible for us to make something. If we decided to make something creative, something visual, something interesting, something with a story, with characters, with creatures, with settings, we could do it. And it won't look like a Disney production. But I don't think that matters. I mean, you watch a Razorhead back, right? And it's a little janky. You can tell it's a weird little puppet. But it doesn't matter. Because, the effort's in there, the spirit's in there, the work has been done, the artistry is there. And what I'm saying is we're at least as good as early David Lynch, right? So I think we can do this. And the other thing that it's got me thinking about is I know the conversation last time when we brought this up was, should this be a franchise just made by C2? Should it be a franchise concerning C2, involving us? Are we connected to it in some way? Are we characters? And I think there's something to be said for both. I think that both are cool ideas. I think that having us create a world of our own, we can do. I don't think there's any reason we can't do both. I got thinking about the idea of a C2 universe. Hey, Spooky! That's okay. As you can see, I froze and then disappeared, but I am still here. You can still get a view of the spaceship. I'll come back in a minute. I hope. It's because we were getting compliments about how good it looked, so it had to be destroyed naturally. I was thinking about the C2 universe, and I was thinking about how cool it could be to spin narratives out of stuff. That's quite a popular thing to do nowadays, to take old things and spin them together and make them more dramatic. Hanna-Barbera are doing it right now, right? They're doing a universe with all their old Saturday morning cartoons and crashing them together. They started with that new Scooby-Doo movie, which is not a Scooby-Doo movie at all. It's just trying to reintroduce a bunch of 60s cartoons to kids with the idea of making it into a multimedia franchise from the looks of it. And they're taking like kids properties and making them big. Riverdale is huge. Taking an old fluffy like comic book that you get at the till in a grocery store and turning it into something that has absolutely nothing to do with the original thing, just uses the names of the characters. We could do that. There's no reason that Coffee.sip can't be a universe that exists side by side with a universe that is multiverse. I think that's a thing. Kind of like how Noel's amazing Christmas project, where she made all the little artifacts that referenced our shows, and it was like this one room that had all these little homages to the wider world of Cable 2. And I think I don't know, I started to get excited over the last couple of days about the idea of, what if we took these things that were never designed to be a dramatic shared universe and we just smash them with a big plot hammer until it fit together. That could be a cool idea. We've got artists, we've got musicians, we've got writers. We could make graphic novels of C2. We can make little short films, little TV series. We could do our Archie double digest, our Archie loves Veronica or whatever, and our Riverdale. We could smash them all together. Yeah, and I mean, look, not to make myself a centre point, but we already have a show that suggests that there is a wider thing where things all coexist, even if they seem completely impossible to exist. You know, cowboys exist in the same world as magicians and aliens and guys with spaceships. They just all exist in the same time in the same place. So you know, we've got an easy way out. You know, we've done what the MCU has done basically. We've got the Marvel way out of saying, oh no, there's a bunch of worlds, and all of these things they just live in the same city, and you don't need to worry about how come one of them is an alien and one of them is a guy who makes WMDs. They hang out together, and that's fine, and you don't need to worry about it. It's okay. Cowboys and Aliens, exactly. The huge success story. Cowboys and Aliens. We could be the next Cowboys and Aliens. And they did it. They started off as a comic book that I don't even know if it ever got published, but I know that it was pitched as a comic book, immediately optioned as a film. You know, they started this weird mashup with franchise in mind, so we can do it too. Exactly. Let me say hello to the people I haven't said hello to. Hello, Stone. Really happy to have you here. It's very nice. I consider you a stalwart still. I know that you're not always able to make the shows, but you're a big part of the C2 family. Yeah, I know I was talking last time about, oh no, we could make a whole original thing. You know, we could make the next Matrix, we could make the next Star Wars. But maybe what I'm saying is we've been sat on it this entire time, and the good thing is, because nobody knows who we are, we could write a script for an epic sci-fi film that includes all of our elements and personalities as characters, and that still works as an original story because nobody knows what any of it means. I think it's quite a fun idea to cram something full of references to a franchise that doesn't actually exist yet. It's both the starting point and a love letter to this universe, and I think we can pull it off. So we might need to adapt the list. I've still got our little text document of you know, what we're going to do, and we might need to add some things, to change some things. But I think we could make a fictional universe that encompasses all of our things. And in fact, this is the logical point of us all. You know, Cable 2 grew out of us doing this anyway, in a way. You know, back when we were T2, before we were C2, we had like a shared universe of things with you know, we had the Lion's Pride that existed across different planes of reality and different cities, and we had, you know, we were starting to craft this thing before T2 got nuked, that it was a physical place. You know, we had a town hall and a skate park and a quarry and an orchard, and we just accepted that all of those things, they weren't separate stories. They were interlinked. Even if it didn't really make any sense, they all existed in the same physical space. It was like one town that somehow had all of these things happening at once. We could get the Wachowski. I mean, only one of the Wachowskis is coming back for Matrix 4, right? Which means the other Wachowski is wide open, right? Her dance card is completely empty, and she is completely free to take on this project. And I think willing. I think that she'll be willing. Jazza had a bald eagle, and Greg had apple pie, and that was a big part of the lore that we were all so very connected to. How am I doing America today? What does this mean? I don't know what that refers to. Is that like as in does Dallas, or are you asking how I'm breaking the American market, which I think I've already conquered personally? Or are you asking if there's any American Mycos in the Verse Lab today, which we've not? How am I going to do the American cultural hegemony? Well, This is a good question. Oh yeah, well, yes, Myco bets. I mean, this is the thing. I haven't mentioned it this time, but we did say the original, idea for why we should set up our own multimedia franchise is people are making money, and I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be us. So yeah, let's all invest in C2 stocks. I think that I can't be the only one who thinks that if everyone involved in Cable 2 got together and started their own hedge fund, we could take on the big boys. We could take on Citadel. We could bankrupt Wall Street and bring the money back to the people. They're trying to shut down trading, aren't they? Trying to shut down new options on all these stocks that they were trying to make fail so that they could get rich off of. I mean, hard to say. It's Wall Street brokers versus corporations, so it's not as though there was really a little guy, but they were trying to bankrupt companies in order to get super rich, right? That's how the shorts work. They're taking a bet against a company that they want to fail and doing everything they can to make that happen, and they don't like that people aren't. I don't fully believe this idea of it's the perfect system, we're putting it back in the hands, we're sticking it to the big boys, because I think really it's just different people trying to get rich, right? It's not really a Robin Hood situation. I don't think that they really started off with a view to take down these awful hedge funds, to take down BlackRock, but I think that it's a nice byproduct, certainly. But at the end of it, it's just I don't know. Is it just changing over who the rich people are? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of stories of people are using this money that they've managed to turn it around and paying off medical bills and debts and stuff. So, it's better. I do think this distribution is better. And mostly I wish that I was one of them. I wish that I had known about this and bought some GameStop stock back when it was pennies, and now I could be sitting on a lot of money. Yeah, the whole thing, the democratization thing is absolutely spin. I mean, it's never. I mean, the stock market, you can't make a good ethical version of the stock market. It just doesn't exist. It just, whatever you're doing, you're still perpetuating the fiction of money, right? Of finance, of rich and poor. You're still upholding the ideals of poverty, of inequality, of lack of equity. But I'm picking and choosing what's in the chat. Look, in a way, I know we've gone back away. In a way, I know what you're thinking, Greg, because you think of me as an Englishman, and I can see how you would think that a Brit is far enough back responsible for America, right? America wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for the Brits. But I think we've established, my family hasn't been in England for that long. I'm only the second generation of my family to be in England. So once you get back to the founding of modern day America, we were still starving in Ireland. And I know a lot of Irish went over to America, but clearly not my lot, because we are still here. We're still quite nearby. We stuck around here for a while and only moved to England in the early 20th century, I guess. We could be. No, there are a lot of people from my lineage in Cork. My lot are from Kilkenny, but it's quite unusual for my family name to be found in Kilkenny, apparently. Or so I heard. Some people people from Cork tell me it's unlikely to find people like me in Kilkenny, but there's a castle there that has the name of the old clan, which is it doesn't really mean that much. Yeah, that figures. Yeah, we could be. We probably are. I mean, we all are at some point. I mean, and with the Irish families being as big as they are, I think it's very likely that we would be able to trace it. If we both did a 23andMe or a CRI test, I reckon we'd find something. Oh, yeah. again, not my fault. You know, when that was when that was all kicking off, my lot was still in Ireland. We weren't the English yet. So yeah. Let's become Dengists, shall we? Yeah. So that's a lot of talk about the stock market. Let's do a multiverse thing now, and pop over into the lab, and we'll see, won't we? We'll see what other Mycos there are. Maybe there is a Myco somewhere out here who was a member of the British Armed Forces, but let's hope to fuck not. And if it is, we have an airlock, so we're fine. We're gonna be fine. Okay, so let's have a little look at our options today, shall we? So this is who we can meet. Feel a bit like Blind Date, or whatever the American equivalent of Blind Date is. Do you have Blind Date? Did you have Blind Date? You know, let's see who our contestants are. I guess it's Price is Right, which is not the same game, but has the similar setup of let's have a look at who we're going to be hanging out with today. Possibly, you have Blind Date. Oh, good. I would hate it if you didn't have Blind Date. That would be awful. If we'd have given you all the horrible things that we've given you. You know, even if I'm sticking to, oh no, I'm Irish, I'm blameless in that. You know, Ireland gave you guys a lot of cops. I mean, that's mostly what the Irish did when they went over there. They were sick of getting beaten up over here, so we moved to America and found a way that we could beat other people up. Yeah, there are some returning options. Right, so you've got O-Mike up there in the top left. That's no secret anymore. We've met O-Mike, haven't we? We've got Mike Oklahoma back in the bottom right. No, he's in the top left. O-Mike. Bottom right is Mike Oklahoma, clearly. Yeah, Boston is. So the only members of my family that have gone anywhere close to that is I've got some family in Canada. I've got them around Toronto, Hamilton, Mississauga. But they're teachers and dentists, so you don't need to worry about them. We didn't go over to Boston and open a bunch of bars and become cops. Interesting. Husky Gaming says, and I want to read this out loud for the archives because I know I'm covering up the chat a little bit and I don't want this to be lost. Tylaisi Skurwilu Podlucky Kurwa Śmieciu Tu Tis Lat Ludzkie Wulkie Stworsilo Taka Lisa Kurwe Yakti. And I could not have said it better myself, personally. Where is Yuridov? Where's Yuridov when we need them? I reckon there's a good chance we could actually get that translated. Maybe I'll put that clip on the VOD. Yeah, this is true. I mean, Boston has Brahmins, right? So you do have an upper class Bostonite. That is possible. But yeah, mostly there isn't really that much of a stereotype outside of that. Outside of what Frasier is clearly supposed to be when they started him on Cheers and he was living in Boston, and then they decided he was from Seattle and suddenly he made a lot less sense. Like the eggheads. Yeah, it does seem like we do have a lot of eggheads on here, don't we? That wasn't deliberate, but the whole top row looks like they've got eggheads. Yeah, the JFK type. I suppose that's. But even now, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I think of the Quimbies now when I think of the Kennedy voice. But I kind of think of them as troublemakers too, because they were still. I mean, the Kennedys, even though obviously they wore nice suits and had nice hair and became politicians, they were still very unapologetically Irish, weren't they? Like everybody knew, the Kennedys were good Irish boys, normal Irish guys. This room, God, have we not been on the ship for a while? This room is the lab, so this is where the transporter is, and this is where we bring them in. That's what my nice little maybe you haven't realised how nice this room actually looks before, because the transporter has always been a bit jittery, but now it is it's like butter, isn't it? I'm looking at the stream now on the side of me, and even on my phone while I'm running all this, it's looking pretty good. It could be a kitchen as well. I mean, I don't use the transporter that much. I only use it once a week at most. So there's no reason why you couldn't eat off it. As you can see, it's very clean. It is a very, very clean ship. There's a lot of different parts of the ship. A lot of sci-fi stuff is very sort of monocultural. Planets are all sea and all sand, and every room of a ship looks exactly the same. But this, I've got my arboretum in the main room, my TV room, and I've got this lovely, nice, clean, sterile environment as well. I suppose I must have staff, realistically speaking. Yeah, my dog is running around. My dog is currently on a little harness on one of those little doggy treadmills in the dog room of the spaceship, and just having the time of her life, just absolutely loving it. I have staff, but they're all like Roombas, but futuristic Roombas. Better than a regular Roomba. Just they float. No, there's no gravity, so there's really no need for the harness on the treadmill. Feet aren't even touching the belt. Captain Mike, yes, Captain Archer, everyone's favourite captain from everyone's favourite spin-off of that beloved franchise that we're hoping to take over. But yeah, I've always wanted to be an Archie. I don't know. Is Arby around? I haven't seen Arby today. I think Arby's gonna be around, right? I think we've got Arby. Arby's flying a very different sort of ship later. A friendship. What would stress you out? Oh yeah. Dropping your Tic Tacs in zero gravity, that would stress me out. I'm with you there. I mean, I would probably just leave. I'll be honest. I don't want to be the person who would just leave it, but I feel like I know myself well enough. I've done enough introspection that I think if I was in zero gravity and I dropped a bunch of Tic Tacs, some of them would just live where they landed. Some of them would just be magnetized to the ceiling for all time. I would have a ladder in the next room, and I would never get it out to find it. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know who Malcolm Reed or Phlox are. They sound cool as hell. I know who Captain Archer is. I've never actually seen that show. I only know that it's supposed to be the worst one from Reputation. I do know who T-Pol is, because every time I've seen that name, I think of T'Pau, the 80s band, and that's fun. That's fun to think about. So you will talk amongst yourself. I'm going to have a little sip of coffee, and then we're going to get to designing our C2 universe. They probably have a robot. They have robots on Next Generation, right? They've got Data, who I always appreciate. They pronounce Data the British way. That's nice. Even the American staff members pronounce it that way. I always get Brent Spiner and Lance Reddick confused. Well, is it Lance Reddick that I'm even thinking of? Bishop from Aliens. They look really similar and they play the same guy. And I'm always mixing them up in my head. I'm always thinking, wow, the same guy played two guys. And I know that that's not true, but that is always the first thought I have when I see either of them. Oh yeah, this is back when they're still basically NASA, right? I do know that they have the opening is a bunch of actual spaceship clips, right? It's that early. Or probably not that early, it's still the future, right? But it's not quite big discs flying through space at warp speed. So let's get rid of our options and let's go into our nice close-up and let's see if my face has... Oh, there we are. Why? What could possibly have happened? What could have gone wrong? What's upset you, guy? Huh? Look who it is. Yeah, I'm just there. Hi! I'm still so excited that things are mostly going right. Maybe it decided that there had to be a choice made between all of the moving parts of the spaceship, all of the rotating glowing things that needed to be smooth, or my face, and was like, I don't think I have enough power to do both, so I'm gonna choose which one's most important. Oh, hi Synth, I haven't actually said hello to you yet. What were we talking about? I don't know. Today's been one of the shows where we ramble. That's every other show or so I have a big plan of something to do and we just end up talking on the camera. So yeah, they're looking for a new PogChamp, right? Because the original PogChamp turned out to be I don't know, I'm gonna say racist. I'm gonna assume because he's a Twitch streamer that is the most likely thing for him to have been found out as being. And I think it's something like that, right? Something not good. And they got rid of him, right? So now they're cycling through new PogChamps. No. Hello. What does that God do? I can't keep track of what we're doing. Oh yeah, have I broken that news to you? I'm sorry. I only knew. Oh, it's a Q guy. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, I knew that he'd done something that even a company that has allowed some quite big racists to continue unabated on their platform. Even they had to be like, this is not gonna be good. The only damage control we can do is just to stop promoting him. Hey, Uradov, you're here. Were you here when we had that amazing message in the chat that I was trying to read and I couldn't? Because I think you can do it. It looked, and I'm no expert. I'm not a Uradov, as we say, but it looked maybe sort of Turkish or a language from that part of the world. Yeah, this I am. If I was facing slightly more forward, this would be "Have you dreamt this man?" Hey, Rowan. Hello. What's up? Oh, there we go. Greg's on top of it. Now that me and Greg have called a truce. Right, that's the message. I don't know what that is. I mean, actually, now I'm looking, it's Polish. Oh, yeah. Okay, you agree. Yes. It was some of the little... I thought there was little accents under the sea that made me think, oh, I know that. I know that letter. That's from Turkey. But, yeah, that's Polish for sure. But I don't really speak any Polish. I've known many. I grew up in an area that had quite I mean, not hugely substantial, but a decent amount of Polish expats. But I never bothered learning it because they learn English, and that's the great thing about being English is you never have to learn anything ever. You can just yell in a foreign bar, and it's fine. I'm just going to turn my face off for a moment because it's quite unsettling to me. Maybe you guys are fine with it. I'm not. Don't really know don't know what the issue is. Don't know what's upsetting it. It seemed fine before, but it is no longer fine, and that's okay. That's okay. You got modded, and yet none of our actual big fellows or spammers, such as the person who put that in originally, is yeah, I've turned off my face and turned myself back on again several times to no avail. I'm just gonna not exist for a while, but that's fine because we're actually gonna start doing stuff now. So I don't actually need to do anything. So I'm just gonna, with my mind, now that I'm a ghost, because technically, I mean, look at me. I'll put myself back on just for a second. I am translucent. It is clear. This is not my physical head floating inside this. Any technology that goes wrong on the show can be worked into this universe that we're creating. It can be canonical. It's fine. It makes sense. Old term for pole offensive. Oh, I see what you got auto-modded for. Not the Polish itself, but for using the using a phrase. Yes, I believe it is considered a slur. Yes, maybe not on par with some others, but at least as long ago as Streetcar Named Desire, that has been considered a slur because Stanley gets very angry when somebody keeps calling him that. That's what I know. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I'm going to turn myself off for a while because I have to look at myself twice. I've got my phone on one side to see the chat, and I've got my computer in front of me to see all the things I need to click. and I don't really want to. I don't really want to look at myself twice, just frozen in an accidental soy face. That's right, Spooky. Stella! Did a production of Streetcar, but I didn't play Stanley, as you might imagine. Those of you that have seen me, not just as a head, not really a Stanley type. I played Mitch, though, having said that, and I'm definitely not a Mitch physical type either, because he's a very big guy. And back then I was skinny and gorgeous, as we've talked about. You can say Mick. Mick is fine. I mean, I know that a lot of Irish nationals and members of the diaspora don't like it, and I get it. There, it can. I think that is one of the things that depends on the context, though. I think that there is a lot of genuine anti-Irish sentiment, and there are ways of saying things about being Irish that is not fun or funny. But I think there are also, I think it can be all right by me. But then again, as I said, I'm still, even though I'm only second generation in this country, that's still quite far removed. I have quite an old dad, and he was the youngest. He was the second youngest of 11. So you imagine his parents were fairly old by the time he came along too. So they were born in the late 1800s. My grandparents. So we're going quite far back when you're trying to look at my actual connection to Irish and Irish culture. I don't feel particularly Irish. I mean, I do refer to myself as Irish, and I do use it as a get out of free card. Yes, I am. Mike is 6'2". That is canon. That is canon on and off the show. I know we've talked about it before because we were looking up the height of Jeremy Renner, and I said exactly how much taller than Jeremy Renner I was, so I know it has been mentioned on the show before. Yeah, we have talked about this a lot. We've talked about all of this a lot. I feel like everything's happening all over again. I feel like we're getting towards the series finale of Battlestar Galactica, and we're starting to notice the patterns of human existence recurring. I'm fairly tall. I don't really think of myself as tall. I know that objectively I am taller than average, but I know quite a lot of people taller than me, so I've always felt fairly average. And I think when I remember stuff as well, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show or on any of the other things. I think I have in the past. But I always remember myself looking up at stuff that realistically I would never have looked up at. But I think that's probably a self-esteem thing that I always imagine myself to be tiny when I know for a fact that I'm not. People often will refer to me as tall, but I don't actually see myself as tall in any way. I see. I didn't know that about you, Egg. I didn't know you were 6'2" as well. 6'2" is the perfect C2 height, I think. I'm going to assume that everyone is C2. Obviously I have rankings in my head based on people's personality of who's actually tall. Yeah, maybe I should just start maybe I should be one of those guys who refers to themselves as a big guy. They're like, oh well, I'm a big guy. I'll be eating a meal and be like, well, I'm a big guy. Or someone's little sister wants me to go sort something out for them. Some guy's been giving them trouble, right? Some boy in the playground, and I'll be like, yeah, right. Well, I'll have a word with him. I'm a pretty big guy. That's going to be my new thing. My two new things for 2021 is that I'm switching my obsession from JFK, who we talked about earlier, and you can see my obsession's already waning because I didn't bring up my love of his death before. So I'm switching that to the Titanic, and I'm referring to myself as a big guy, and those are my two resolutions. I'm a big guy and I'm a big Titanic guy, and those are my two big things. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to help people reach stuff. I'm going to go up to people who are like, I don't know, 5'11", 6 foot, and are about to reach for something on a top shelf that they can definitely grasp, and I will swoop in and grab it for them. And I might start referring to people as like little lady and stuff as well, or like kiddo. Do you think because I'm accepting that I'm tall, and I'm also accepting that I'm old. I mean, I know I'm not the oldest member of C2, but I'm one of them. I'm definitely up there. I've definitely affected the curve somewhat. So I think I could call people kiddo. I don't know, or slick. I think I can call people by nicknames. I think I'm big enough and old enough now that I can call people by their nicknames that I have given them that they won't like. Yeah, Null. I don't know. Null, is that because you're one of the younger members of C2, which I do know, or are you also one of the shorter members of C2? Yeah, Sport, Slugger. Basically, I'm going to turn into Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black. That's what I'm going to become. Oh, Rowan. Oh no. Oh, we do. Nice. If I was a better streamer, I would. Oh, hold on a second. I don't need to say Pog. I can be Pog. Hold on. We've got how many followers? Yeah, there we go. Synth is tall. Is Synth tall? You're both. Yeah, I could see that. I didn't want to say anything, Noel, but I could. I don't know. Actually, Noel. You know what? You know how there's some people that could either be tiny or Amazonian, and it's one or the other. There was no way that you're average height. No, I'll say that now. That never crossed my mind. Obviously, because you're not average in any way. You're a beloved member of the family. But I think, yeah, you were either going to be a kiddo or I don't know what is an equivalent to big guy that you can call other people like that. Well, I guess when you can say hey that big fella, but probably wouldn't call you big fella. No, that sounds more derogatory aimed at you than it might to Greg. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, maybe it is because I see you as a little thing in the corner. You're a little jolly moon in the corner, I suppose. People would pay good money to be stepped on, and I think it's only the pandemic that has stopped most of us from cashing in on the crush fetish fad. But there's definitely a market for it. We can all be honest. Yeah, Null. I think C2 is split into two types of people, right? When danger approaches, there's the people who nudge members gently behind them, and there's the members that are nudged gently behind them, right? That is the two types of people you can be if you're involved in C2 in any way. And I'm one of the big guys who steps slightly forward and gently puts an arm on Null to just to guide her behind my giant body, and Null gets to feel safe and secure, stood behind me as I square up to trouble, and that is the dynamic. Those are our roles. Yeah, the wolves and the sheeple, exactly. Yeah, Big Mike. See, Big Mike is a classic nickname too, isn't it? I tried a couple years ago. I thought, hey, maybe I'm going to be a Big Mike now, but I wasn't quite ready. I wasn't big enough or old enough, and now I'm both. You know, I know that I seem like I'm having wild mood swings over the course of season 2, because I know we sort of started season 2 with me saying, I've bulked up a little over the last year and don't know how to feel about that, because although it's not really that big a thing, it's just because I've it's unfamiliar. I look different now, and it's not to say that I'm necessarily worse. I haven't gotten used to myself yet. But maybe now I'm going to fully embrace it. Now I'm tall, and maybe I look more like, I don't know, maybe you would think for a second longer before throwing a punch at me now. Maybe that's the way I can spin it to myself to be happier with it, you know? Like, yeah, that's the thing. It's not, yeah, I don't know. It's not that I'm really that upset about not being skinny, because that's the thing. I was slim before. It's not like I went from average to fat. It's that I've gone from skinny to average, and it's just that I'm not used to it because I spent 29 years before this being skinny, And then suddenly it was like, oh, I guess I can just put on weight now. I guess that's just a thing that is possible. It's like when I used to have a full beard for a while, like a fairly sizable beard, not crazy. I'm not like the competitions where they braid them and turn them into cuckoo clocks or whatever. But a respectable beard, good coverage. And then I shaved it off, and I couldn't look at myself for a while, and not because I hated what I saw. I just didn't recognize it because I was so used to the shape of my face with this extra weight on it, this extra hair on it, right? That when I had my jawline back, I just couldn't see it, right? I just couldn't recognize the person in the mirror. And I didn't dislike the person in the mirror. I just didn't know who it was. And it took me a while to get used to it. And that's what's happening now, basically. Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? It's so weird. Like, a beard is more a part of you than like a haircut. Only for like a day or two is it strange to do something drastically different with it. But facial hair just changes you completely. Like, it is a really encompassing thing to do, to grow a distinctive beard. It even happened more recently. It's only in the last year. I've had other facial hairs before. I've had moustaches before, but never so deliberately and long term as this. Sometimes when I was on the road to getting rid of a beard and becoming a guy just with regular stubble again, I would sometimes have a pit stop along the way of something else. But this is the first time when, in the last year, at the start of the first lockdown, I decided to grow out this moustache, and it just became a part of me. It was just how I looked. And then I got rid of it around Christmas time. I just went, the guard on my clippers broke, which was very annoying. And so I just had to start fresh. And it was bizarre, even though for the majority of my adult life, I've just had shadow. But to go back to that after I was so used to being a guy with a moustache, and I really felt like I was a guy with a moustache, it was really weird. It was just so weird because it does become a part of you. It is. I'm just going to put it out there. It's like an arm. It's like an arm. And when you're missing an arm, that's an unusual experience. And it will take more than a couple of days to get used to the fact that you've only got one arm now, and you used to have two. Yeah, that's a good idea, Greg. Maybe that's what I'm going to tell people, that I'm in a bulking phase right now. I will cut at some point, but I'm just it's not that I've been less physically active in the last year. It's that I'm making a concerted effort to become completely swole, to become hugely muscular, and I'm just currently bulking up. That's not what you meant. I'll be honest. I've just been talking, and then I miss some things. I don't know what refers to what sometimes. I'm like Christian Bale. Yeah, exactly. I was the machinist for 29 years, and now I've been cast in Batman Begins, and suddenly I need to gain a substantial amount of weight in quite a short amount of time. That's exactly it. Yeah, that's right. And if you'll check Christian Bale's filmography, I think you'll find that's exactly the order of appearances. That's how it happened. Which is bizarre. Why would you cast Machinist's era Christian Bale as Batman? That's a gamble. That is a big gamble, right? Because how do you know he's going to put that weight back on? How do you know he hasn't just destroyed his body? Which he will sooner or later. There's a reason De Niro does fluffy comedies now instead of transformative physical performances, because you just can't do it forever. I feel like that's something we talked about very early on an early episode of Multiverse as well. That is good. Oh, Stone, you stopped drinking. Oh, that's fantastic. Very proud of you. You're joining the sober army. I wish I could say that. I've been sober the entire time that I've been gaining weight. So what can I do? What more can I do? I'm already a sober vegan. I'm a teetotal vegan. Like, what more could I possibly do to be in shape? Apart from, more exercise, which we can all agree now just isn't going to happen, right? If it was going to, it would. Maybe I'll get there one day. Yeah, serious congrats. Hey, Triple B Trip, welcome. I didn't see you come in there. Yeah, that is seriously very, very cool, Stone. I know it's tough as hell. So I honestly am very, very proud of you. Yeah, getting a kayak, that's cool. Have you got cool rivers near where you're? Where are you, Stone? You Tennessee? Am I thinking right that you're in old TN, which is the part of the world where I just kind of assume is, this one big homogenous zone of somewhat the South. I assume anytime someone says anywhere like that, I just think, oh right, like Deliverance. Even though I'm aware that Deliverance very likely took place nowhere near any of these places that makes me think of Deliverance, I just assume anywhere that isn't one of the major cities is Deliverance. Which I think is how most of the people from the major cities seem to think about it, everywhere that isn't the major cities as well. Well, that's cool. I realised that I suddenly turned it into a big thing when you just said it offhanded. I didn't mean to put a spotlight or pressure on you. But that's still cool. I mean, it's still, yeah. It makes a difference. Like, it's one of those things, like, you cut something out of your diet and you just realise, oh, that's why they tell you to do that. That's why they say you shouldn't have a diet entirely consisting of butter and red meat. You live in Appalachia? Wow. That is very cool. I've been learning the banjo recently. I don't know that I've ever said that out loud. I've sort of mentioned in passing that I've been playing banjo recently. I think I said it on the last show, and both of my Neo ST submissions so far have me playing the banjo on them. I'm not very good at it yet. It is an incredibly difficult instrument. I'm at an advantage in that I know how to read tabs already, and obviously it's a different string setup, but you can still adapt yourself. But it's one of those things that genuinely I think will take an actual lifetime to master. I'm not going to play like Earl Scruggs anytime soon. Maybe not even within my lifetime, because I can get the basics, but essentially even what I've been doing for Neo ST with it is I like it because it gives a rich sound. It's a very different sound to a guitar, but I really am treating it more like something like that. I'm not really like claw hammering it or anything, not doing anything banjo-esque. I'm just there. I'm just playing little riffs on it, which is not really what it's designed for, but still has a lovely sound to it. And thank you. Yeah, I've never really been involved in the music side of C2 or Orb stuff before, apart from when we were going to do a song that had a part of each of us, and I did a little synth bit. Yeah, there's a lot of boink boink. There's a lot of digital jug blowing is what I imagine that sound was. But I like music's one of those things that I like music a lot, and I'm not very proficient in it. It's just one of those artistic things that I really like, but I don't really know anything about. I can't really talk about music. I have no theory skills, despite playing a little bit of a few instruments throughout my life. I've never mastered anything. I can't tell you anything about it. I don't know how to produce music. And the great thing about Neo ST for me is that it's given me a chance, like with the After Effects thing, just figuring out, I want to make something happen. So I'm just trying to work out how to do it. And that for me, I learn better by doing that than if I was trying to learn something generally. Like, I used to suck at trying to do loops and things, and drum beats as well. I don't really have a lot of drum stuff in my Neo STs because I'm just terrible at percussion stuff. I've never been involved in percussion stuff. But in the course of doing Neo ST, I've gotten significantly better at creating loops, and just by that little practice, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm finally learning the things that like 10 years ago I was thinking, God, I'd love to make little beats and stuff, and I couldn't really figure out how to line things up and how to time things. I just don't have a real sense of how to do that electronically. But now I'm working it out, and now I'm getting much cleaner and much better with it, and I'm really enjoying it. And everyone should check out NeoST. And anyone musical in the slightest should think about submitting to it and listen to it. It's so much fun. I've honestly loved it. I haven't, because I've been working on this After Effects thing that I'll put up on the socials in the next couple of days once I've done a bit of sound stuff for it. I'll get on the next NeoST. I haven't started my next one. I'm not really sure what to do for the next one. I'm not really sure how to, because I really like the idea. It wasn't what I intended originally, but I was inspired by Stein to try and continue within this one canon. But you know what I've been designing is a walking simulator, and there's no who's your rival on a walk? You're taking in nature. It shouldn't be about competition. So I don't really know what I'm going to do for that, but maybe I'll figure it out. Maybe there'll be a cheeky squirrel, or maybe you're maybe there's a time trial mode, and you're competing. You're power walking against you're red, and you're power walking against blue. Rival Walker. Yeah, maybe that's his name, Rival Walker, the oil millionaire. Yeah, the guy in front of you. Yeah, it's a narrow trail, and there's some backpackers who are just fast enough that you can't overtake them, but not fast enough that it's comfortable to be stuck directly behind them. Like the speed that you naturally walk at makes you tailgate them, but you'd have to really rush to get past them, and then you don't know if you can keep up with the pace to be in front of them. It's just very awkward. You could do that, yeah. Exactly, and you win enough points for the perfect pair of bootlaces, which is why I imagine that you're upgrading your equipment each time. You get little points each time you complete a trail, and you can go to the shop and you can get new laces, or one of those little sticks that you use to walk up an incline, the little ski pole looking things. Oh, that's the worst, when there are guys who are so slow in front of you. And you're like, if I just overtake you, we'll be fine. But they are insistent on then, like when you're cycling and you stop at a traffic light, and then they decide to run through it, and you're like, why are you running through it? It's not going to save you enough time, because then once the traffic light turns green, I'm going to cross it and still be faster than you, and then we're just going to do the awkward dance again. So why did you try and use that time to gain a head start on me? What's the point? Yeah, that'll be the only element of violence in Trail 21, is that you are allowed to kill slow walkers, which I think we can all agree is entirely justified. So I told you that this was going to be a stream where we just ramble, because we're over an hour into it now, and I haven't even pulled up the text file on screen yet. I've taken us to the screen where we look at the text file traditionally, but I haven't pulled up the text file for us all. Just catching up with some chat. Every time I've had to do drums, I make the computer generate a random series of notes and then just speed it up until it sounds like something's doing. That is a very cool idea. Yeah, I like that. Thing is, I don't know what it is about me and drums, because it's not as though I have no sense of rhythm, because the melodic stuff I do works. It's still to a beat. I'm still keeping a tempo, and I'm all of my melodic stuff and my backing stuff and that, it all keeps to the same tempo and works with each other. So it's not as though I've got no instinct for kind of what a beat should be. It's just when it comes to actually inputting it, I just can't figure it out. I just don't know. I just don't know what I'm doing with it. I can't get it at all. It's so bizarre. I say what we're all thinking. That's the thing. Yeah, drums. I mean, there's a reason why being a drummer is its own thing. I think the big thing is when you're thinking, oh, I'm going to make my own song, my own beats, is that you have to take on the role of being every member of a band. And some people can do that. Some people have a brain for it. But I don't. I can play some string instruments. I can plink plonk on the piano. and play a little bit of banjo or a little bit of guitar or some ukulele or something, something like that I can hold in my hands and I've got a tune in my head and I can figure out how to play it. That I can do, but the other stuff, I'm just not every member of a band. I'm just not those people. I'm many people, as we discovered. I'm not those people. But Egg, you do drum programming. Am I right in remembering that is your bread and butter is the percussion stuff? So when we get the C2 band together, we at least have the right members. I have accidentally created a new sort of ASMR with this stream. I know. I'm almost tempted not to take the static away. I was going to throw up the text file. Yeah, that's the weird thing whenever I think like, I just can't do the drums, is that all the music I listen to, it's not like I am a drumless person. I don't live a drumless life. The music I listen to, I like electronic music and hip-hop and things that are built entirely around the beats. So you'd think that I would have absorbed something from that, in the way that I have with other music, where I have somewhat of a head for little riffs or little melodies or little tunes. I've kind of taken that obviously from a lifetime of just listening to music. Really, the only instrument I've ever had actual lessons for was piano. But other than that, like I said, I've got no theoretical knowledge. So you'd think if I could take that from being a consumer, then I should be able to take the drums, considering most of what I listen to is drums. But I just can't. 100 gecs. I know that. Was it Stein? Who did the 100 gecs for Mars Singer? Hey everybody, hey Steino. Did Stein come in just as we were talking about Stein? Yeah. Were your ears burning? You appeared just as we started talking about 100 gecs. I could react to 100 gecs. Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty open about this over season 2 that there are definite gaps in my modern musical knowledge, and not wholesale. I'm not a complete old guy who only listens to stuff before a certain year. I do listen to a lot of mod stuff, but there's also a lot of mod stuff that I know by name but couldn't necessarily tell you anything about. And generally, it's stuff that I have actually heard. I just don't know that I've heard it. There's a lot of artists who I probably have heard their stuff, but I couldn't tell you for a fact that I have. Yeah, I could listen to. Yeah, I'm the same, Greg. I mean, I listen to a lot of stuff. I'm kind of the opposite of most old guys in that most of what I listen to is rap or country. I'm like, I listen to everything, including rap and country. That's how subversive I am as a member of society, the society that we all live in. So what do we think about talking about the C2 universe? I know we've just burnt. Yeah, big grime guy, me. Big grime head. Again, Stormzy, obviously I've heard a lot of grime, but I couldn't tell you who's who in the scene. It's not really my thing. Apart from Millie B, obviously, who we can all agree is the best MC. M to the B, M to the B, M to the B, M to the B, M to the B. But I feel like we're on such a roll talking about everything. This is the true show about nothing. So many people have hypothesized about what would happen if Seinfeld was on the air today. I think he would have a show on Cable 2 and be played by me, personally. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a big history of that in all sorts of in most genres, but a lot of adjacent genres to grime. Lots of grime and hip hop and everything that sort of came out of the same thing. Everything that sort of grew out of toasting, I guess, essentially, grew out of dancehall stuff. Has a very political bent to it, and it's probably still the most overt, even over here. It's still where you can reliably go to hear musicians yell about Tories. It is great to be here, isn't it? I'm having a nice time. Anyway, should we see what my face is doing now? Is my face still existent? Yeah, still freezy. Still freeze boy. So I'll tell you what, I know we're all enjoying the static, but let's use my mind to turn the TV on for a second and have a little look. It was a literal mic check. Have a little look at our list that we made so many moons ago. Pre-Masked Singer. This is pre-Masked Singer. We were doing this. So these are all the things that we want to do with the franchise. Yeah, it does include you quite heavily, Sheila. You are going to have to go viral, I'm afraid. But even that can be kept. I think that can be kept. And I think one thing that we have neglected to include, that I did talk about earlier, is of course, I think we mentioned it before because we talked about how Marvel has now reversed its scheme and is making comic books only to sell films. But I think we can be better about it, and I think that we can. We can do. I think there was Matrix comics, right? And they were probably more built into the world of it. More honestly trying to expand the creative world. So let's put in comics, or shall we be really serious? Let's take this seriously, as Spooky would demand, and call them graphic novels, right? Because we're not a bunch of kids reading our double digests, are we? Right? This is what we're saying. This is not the old Archie. This is the new Archie, where he's handsome and in a gang where they don't wear any shirts and record beheading videos or something. Novels with a Z. No, you're absolutely right. How wrong I was. What a fool I was. Yeah, it doesn't need to be too serious. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. So these are the things that we want to include within our multimedia franchise, right? These are the multimedias. These are the multiple medias that we are going to be conquering, that we're going to be taking over. Novelization. Oh, yes, of course. I'll put that under film. That's sort of in squiggly parentheses because it's obviously heavily connected. But yeah, let's do the novelization. Here we go. Right, novelization. I love novelizations. I had so many when I was a kid. I read the Tim Burton Batman novelization cover to cover many times when I was a kid, long before I ever actually got to see the film. I wasn't allowed to watch the film. It was on TV one night, and my dad was going to record it for me, and he wouldn't let me watch it in the morning. He said that Jack Nicholson ruined it, which is a terrible summation of that film. It's not as if my dad was a Batman purist. He wasn't a big fan of the comics or anything, and he didn't like that Jack Nicholson changed it so much. I don't know what he didn't like about it. I think really what he didn't like was that it was quite, it was violent and rude. It was a very adult adaptation of it. But we already knew that because I had read the novelization, and I knew that it had swearing in it, and I knew that it had people being fried to death at a boardroom meeting in it. That wasn't a secret to either of us. So I'm not sure why. Maybe seeing it on screen was slightly different. I suppose it is, but it was fine. I saw it years later. Don't worry, I have seen it now, and I liked it very much. And I like Jack Nicholson a lot as an actor. Don't know what he's like as a person, but I do like him very much as a performer. So these are the things that we want to explore, right? These are the things that we want to do. Oh, C2 Con. Yes, obviously that comes. I mean, yeah, no, I guess we are looking at the peripheries as well, the peripherals of it all, in that these aren't just the things that we're using to create the art. These are also the things that we're doing, that we're making after the art. The action figures and the novelizations, I guess, all come after we've created the story and the world. We've written the fiction, and we also have made this merchandise. And I think you're right, that C2 Con comes under that, doesn't it? We have to, if we want to be taken seriously as well. I don't know if CableCon. I suppose with us it should be our own thing, because what I'm thinking is, obviously Marvel shows up to Comic-Con, right? They don't have MarvelCon, but they do now because they're under Disney, right? And Disney has the I don't know what it's called, the things that they've got their own convention, though, Disney, right? And so does Star Wars. Star Wars has Celebration, right? So it shows up as Comic-Con, but it also has Star Wars Celebration. A stage adaptation is not a bad idea, or not even an adaptation, because I think all of these are expansions. These are expanded universe. It's not like the stage show is going to be the same story as the film, it just takes place in the same world. And we might do that in a Hitchhiker's Guide sort of way, where it's the same starting point but told in a very different way deliberately, or we could do it in a Harry Potter and the Cursed Child way, where it's a sequel that only exists on stage, even though all of the rest of them have been books or movies. D23, what does the 23 mean? That's what I was trying to think of today. I was thinking it was like Imaginarium or something, but that I think I'm getting confused with Imagineers. I think I'm mixing together. DC fandom, yeah, DC has its own thing, I suppose. Yes, of course. No, Stone, if we're doing anything that overlaps with your skill set, with your wheelhouse, you will absolutely be involved. The big thing of this is it is a collaborative thing. Multiverse is all about the multiplicity of it all. It's the multitudes, the plurality. It is about all of us together. It is sort of a clever play on things, because it's not just about multiple me's. It's about multiple people. It's about multiplayer. It's about people together, working together, coming together. It's all about the cables. It's to coin a phrase, it's all about the players, and I came up with that, and I think it sums us up quite nicely. So obviously the idea of this is it's not like you're giving me ideas and I'm going away and making all of these things on my own. We are going to create something together, and I think the idea of the C2 universe is rich, is cool. The cables are sort of like an energy that flow through all living creatures, in my opinion. Oh, I see. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Okay, yeah, that I can accept that as a premise. That 23 is an important year in the mythology of Disney. Okay, so let's invent something, okay? So we sort of, I don't know, object if you want to object. If you would rather that we go back to the idea of just creating our own world in which we are not the characters, we are not the everything, we can do that. If you just want to create our own Star Wars, our own Dune, then let me know. But otherwise, we've kind of accidentally come up with a setting already, right? In that it is... I don't know what Cable 2 is as a physical place, what the architecture of it is, what the geography of it is. Rock Beretta, I'm hearing a lot of people saying, is presumably a character or a weapon, or both. Maybe it's a weapon named after its inventor, a character. But yeah, I don't know what the place of C2 is, whether we all live in a city, whether it's I don't know, maybe it's multiple places, because, maybe Maiko is, the multiverse portion of this theme park we're creating. That's another theme park, I'm going to put that down, I don't know if we've got that yet. Oh, we do have theme park, I can see it at the bottom of the list. This theme park that we're working on, the multiverse part of the park, is maybe in space. Maybe I'm on the spaceship or on the space station, whatever it is. Or maybe we want to keep it all grounded. We're doing a more grounded version of these stories, and so we're all on Earth, and that would allow us to interact a lot more. So maybe it's a place on Earth. Ooh, baby, do you know what love's worth? Yes, like Jumper, definitely. Yeah, because I don't know, maybe I could be a Brit expat who lives in this vaguely American city with the rest of the characters in the C2 universe, or maybe we travel between each other. Maybe it's one of these things where you know, it opens with us all in these different places, and then at the end of episode 1 you learn that you know, 2 of us are brother and sister, or we work for the same corporation. You know, one of us sits down to make a conference call near the end of episode 1 in the C2HQ, and the person they pipe into it is, oh wait, that's that other character we've been following. I didn't know their lives were intertwined in such an inextricable way, but they are. Maybe that's fun. Maybe we can do that. Because like I said, I like this idea that it's self-referential. It's referencing us as if we're an established mythology. I think that's very fun. Yes, like Jack Ryan, exactly. I mean, less of the trying to start genuine coups, less of the CIA consultancies, but yeah, in much the way that the Clancyverse, you know, exists across the other, you know, across the continents. You know, it takes place all over the place, but it all exists in the same world. That's kind of what we're doing. It's like an Infinity War smashed together with a. Oh, Egg, are you a big Clancy head as well? I'm ashamed to admit that I'm a Jack Ryan fan, mainly because I'm a big Harrison Ford fan. That's how I got into it. But my bookshelf is embarrassingly dad-like along the C section. The conflict outcome of the movie gives us new canon. Yes, I like that. I like it especially because we're introducing a reset to a universe that we're pretending like everybody has already been a part of. I do like that we're beginning by establishing, oh, here's this thing with all these things that you recognize. You know, it's packed full. Every detail of the set dressing is like a reference to something within the C2 universe for the eagle-eyed fans, even though the eagle-eyed fans don't exist yet, right? And then by the end, we're creating the reboot. We're instantly rebooting something that hasn't had a chance to grow legs yet. I think that's a lot of fun. Yeah, exactly. It's like there are all these things. You know, we'll have the little thing. Like I said, it's smashed together with the. Bye, Steino. Thanks for popping in. See you again later. Hags. Big hags, ooh. We're smashing together the idea of a shared universe with Null's Christmas project, which the more I think about Null's thing, the more I think it is the perfect microcosm of what we're trying to accomplish here. You know, I think it's like the idea of a room that houses all of the things is very much like. You know, I love Easter eggs. I absolutely love Easter eggs, and I love that there's a thing that contains Easter eggs to us. I think that feels really good in a way that I can't quite explain, and I would love to create a whole series or movie or something that is Easter egg focused, Easter egg centric, even though, you know, nobody's hunting for them yet. But I like the idea, and you know, a lot of people get credit for the foreshadowing in these big mystery things. You know, you look back on Lost, you're like, oh, what were they setting up then? What were they trying to do? Or was that a reference to this thing that happens 4 seasons later? And we could set ourselves up perfectly, because if we just cram everything full of Easter eggs to begin with, then we can use them as artifacts later on in big, epic, dramatic, important ways. And people will think that we are creative geniuses. They were like, how did they know so early? How did they know that they were going to need that setup? How did they know to foreshadow that years earlier? Yeah, we're an Easter omelette. That's exactly what we are. We don't need that much plot, because the whole thing is just leading up to us all coming together. Basically, the whole... everything we've set up so far is a setup to a reboot, and up until that point it's nods and winks in a way that feels cool. You know, we're bypassing all of this nonsense, you know, goodwill earning that the Marvel universe has done. You know, they took 10 years to get to the point where you will watch stuff and be like, oh my god, I can't They tied it all together. But we've who cares? Like, who cares about all that shit? Why spend 10 years doing it when we can just jump straight to that point? We already have a mythology, we already have artifacts. We have enough artifacts that Null could create something really cool that we all know what things are referencing. We already have so much iconography that is going to waste, I just on my show alone, I've got the spaceship, I've got a lab, I've got a spider bowl. You can put references, nods to these things in a set dressing already, and it's building up this idea of lore. Because another thing that I really like, a few years ago, when I was working for a fashion magazine, when I was a workhorse writer, I had this idea. I was thinking about doing this sort of side project of iconic outfits from films. For instance, I'd say like Indiana Jones. You can boil Indiana Jones down to a couple of items on a table, and in fact there's a big market for this sort of thing. There's a thing called Disney bounding, where you're making reference in outfits to stuff, and there's whole aesthetic Instagram accounts of the sort of shot I mean, the heads overshot, the sort of Wes Anderson shot of a table with a bunch of items on it, and people do that to be almost like an everyday carry kind of thing. Like these are the essential items that boil something down, an idea or a person or a place down to its essence. I like the idea of doing that, and I really enjoyed this idea of being able to boil something down to a few items, accessories, clothings, and then I started to think, obviously you can do this as a fictional character, but people talk about capsule wardrobes. Could you really do this? And for a while I was quite into this idea of essentially a uniform, I guess, but the idea of these are the things that if you saw them you would know, oh, that's me on a table. I quite like the idea of this compact thing, and I don't know why I started talking about this right now, I'll be honest, but I think because in my head it sort of connects with this idea of you can of iconography, I guess, of deliberately creating icons, an iconic thing, or a series of icons.
RB alert. RB alert. Hey everybody. It's an RB alert.
You think I wasn't scrabbling to find my RB button? So I guess that is essentially the story you're writing as well. It's just an aesthetic photo of a table with a bunch of iconic items on it that we are insisting on their iconic nature. We're telling the public, the viewers, that these are things that they recognise and care about, whether they do or not. Yes, like the Dark Tower, exactly. I know I'm really really far back on that, but yeah, like the Dark Tower, that sort of thing. We're taking all these things that you reference and we're shoving them together. It's very important that we stay on top of RVs. I believe in you, Greg. Greg, you genuinely you have a real knack for you have the gift of the gab, as we say in the old country, as we say in Blarney. You're very good at talking to a stream. You're very good at continuing noise, which doesn't sound like a compliment when you say it like that, but I think it really is. As we know in our business, there's nothing worse than dead air, and so it's a real skill doing this sort of shit. Being able to just keep talking, no matter whether you've got something to talk about or not. Which I don't know. I don't feel like I necessarily do, but I have managed to talk now for an hour and 40 straight almost. So yeah, I'm also excited about this egg. I'm really excited about the idea of making this thing that shouldn't work, but I can feel in my heart already. I know that it's going to work. I understand it. I can see it in my head, and I feel from your reactions and all your inputs, you're there with me. You're right there with me. We've, it's the thing that I'm worst at with art is explaining my ideas, and the second thing I'm worst at is executing my ideas, which you can imagine puts me in a bit of a predicament sometimes, in that sometimes I have an idea and I can see it so clearly in my head, and I can't invite someone to collaborate with me on it, because I know when I try and tell them about it, it won't sound as good as I know it's going to be. And I realise that's an essential skill in doing art professionally, is being able to pitch. But I know, I recognise in myself that is a failing on my part. That is something that I'm not very good at. But there's also a lot of those ideas I'm like, well, I need a collaborator in order to execute this, because I know that I can't fully pull this off, but I can see it. I know that it's so good in my head. And yeah, I think that's the thing. This thing that I started off talking about that I've worked on, it doesn't look exactly like I planned on doing it in my head. Some things I was trying to do in After Effects, and I was like, realistically, I'm just not at the point where I'm skilled enough to do exactly what I want. But the thing that it turned out into being, the thing that actually got produced, is good in its own way. And I think that's the thing that you have to learn to accept as well, is that you might not have written the exact song that was in your head or drawn the exact picture that you saw in your head, but you can still create something really good despite that. You just have to give yourself a break. I think that's really important. I know that everyone talks about artists as having to be very tortured and very serious, but you just gotta ease up. You just gotta chill out. You just gotta create on island time sometimes, Hey, thanks for the sub, Arby. So I don't have a rap one, but yeah, maybe I should build that in. Little sip of coffee. In reference to the wider C2 universe, eagle-eyed fans, the real heads, will recognise that as an homage to Coffee.sip, the egg verse, the Drozza verse. It's a literal Easter egg. Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, Sheila, you've been there since the start. You're a hardcore fan, so I appreciate that you get it. Arby, I believe, gets it. The laughter shows me that's genuine. Wait, a fat war against against who? Against me? No. Against since date. So, all this to say, I guess, I don't know. This is a ramble episode, as we like to ramble sometimes, don't we? Don't we, folks? We can safely say that the setting, in terms of the universe, is kind of established, right? It is the C2 universe. Now, geographically, I think you're right. We're going to jump around, right? We are going to thing, and I quite like the idea that it's maybe it's like the Defenders. If anyone bothered to watch that show, I think that was, I just about saw it before I checked out of the Netflix superhero things. But that is kind of a thing where it's like everyone's meeting and coming together. I guess Avengers is the more obvious reference to that. But I think Defenders did it in a more explicit sense, in that I don't think they actually became the Defenders until like the very end. So I think it's kind of like, yeah, I like Daredevil and Luke Cage. I wanted to like Alias, whatever. I don't know why I'm blanking on Jessica Jones. Because I really liked. I used to read Alias, and I really liked it, and it just didn't click for me. And the problem was the way it was serialized, where they kept catching the Purple Man, and then he was escaping, or they let him go, or whatever. It was like the Simpsons showcase, where Skinner and Wiggum become detectives in New Orleans, and And at the end, they let Big Daddy swim away, and they're like, oh no, I have a feeling we'll be seeing him each and every week. That's what I felt like when I was watching Jessica Jones. At the end of everything, they would reset it. They were like, oh, they finally caught David Tennant, and then he would escape again. I was like, oh god, why? This is clearly, the episode order was too long if you're having to constantly twist it like this. But Luke Cage was cool as hell, and I liked Daredevil as well. Did I watch The Punisher? Yeah, I watched The Punisher show. It was okay. I mean, it's just so hard to adapt The Punisher in the day and age where you know, cops and fascists are idolizing him. You know, it's very hard to make a Punisher show without making propaganda. You know, without being completely on the side I mean, all superheroes are inherently fascist, you know, but obviously characters like the Punisher are much more overtly so. Yes, no, I agree. That's why I like Daredevil as a character generally, because he's a mentally ill Irish Catholic, and it's so nice that finally we're the good guys, you know. And he's poor as well. That's the other thing. Usually, if a character is working class and mentally ill, they're the villain, right? They get beaten up by billionaires with expensive suits. But Daredevil flips it on his head. You know, Daredevil says, actually, you can have severe guilt and PTSD and be the person beating up other poor people with PTSD, and that's a life path that is available to you. Exactly. No, yeah, exactly. No, Arby, I'm with you. I like the Marvel Netflix shows better than I've liked pretty much any of the movies that I've seen of Marvel stuff, but they're not perfect shows by any means. They're no Sopranos. I'll tell you that. Exactly, that's the quality. Finally, I get to see myself on screen, and isn't that what we all want at the end of the day? And that is why we're creating the C2universe, so we can explicitly see ourselves on screen. We can quite literally see ourselves on screen because we're writing ourselves as the protagonist. I guess we know the characters, right? I mean, I'm going to make a quick little list of characters, and anyone let me know if you want to be added or taken away. I'm just going to start with you know, those of us that have regular shows, I guess, is maybe a start to do it. Would learning an American accent help with acting jobs? Yeah. Oh no, definitely. Yeah. I think if you're in English, maybe not so much if you're focused on stage. Although obviously we do have a lot of American plays put on and transferred over here, but definitely if you want to work in TV and film, not like that. Well, I suppose in TV there is a career to be made on English TV. We produce a lot of our own TV. The British film industry is not, I don't know, not what it used to be anyway. And even a lot of big British films, or what are technically British films, are kind of American co-productions. A lot of stuff gets made over here, but it's about Americans or for the American market. So if you want to work in film in particular, absolutely you've got to learn to do. You've got to have some sort of American accent under your belt. It's hugely useful. I think if you want to take it, yeah, if you want to be serious about. Well, I mean, as any actor, having a good little arsenal of accents you can do well. I mean, if anyone has a CV where they can say they can do basically any accent, they're definitely wrong about most of it. But I think having a few accents that you are comfortable doing and you believe you are capable of doing to a high standard, yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any British actor who doesn't give at least a general American, or actually I guess more typically the accents that English actors do are broadly Southern or broadly New York. Those are the two that you'll hear most British actors doing when they try and break America. And some of them are still terrible and still get away with it. I think Benedict Cumberbatch's American accent is absolutely awful. I don't know what it sounds like to native ears, but to my ears, it is a struggle for him. You can hear that. You think I'd be a good Doctor Who? I mean, look, I would take it if they want to offer it to me. I'm not a big Doctor Who guy, but yeah, I'm not too proud to take on a hugely iconic and well-paid job. I'll say that now. I'll take the BBC's money, sure. The Michigander, what's the? I don't think David has been in charge of Doctor Who for about a decade now. Even I know that. The Michigan. Well, I'm trying to think if I could. Would you say the Michigander is what we call General American, Canadian but weirder? Oh, you're right. Yeah, like if I wanted to be on Fargo, I know that's not Michigan, but that's how I think of kind of that sort of Midwest. Minnesotan accents are very like Canadian but weirder. It's got obviously the same makeup of immigrants, I think. The least US sounding accent. Yeah, it's that thing where it's like, okay, so your ancestors were Scandinavian and German and Irish and Italian, and you've never flattened that out. Yeah, I could give a five. I mean, I think every season of Fargo so far has had a Brit as a main role, right? You've had no, maybe not season 2 actually. Maybe season 2 didn't have any Brits, but season 1 had Martin Freeman, right? And then season 3 had Ewan McGregor. Season 4 has Jessie Buckley and Ben Whishaw at least. So, you know, I could try and do a Fargo. I don't think any Minnesotan natives are being fooled by the Brits we're sending over to pretend to be from Fargo. But they're getting paid for it, and as I think I talked about a few weeks ago, or maybe even longer, I've moved on from needing to be serious and dramatic. I don't really care. If anyone paid me for any sort of acting job, as long as it didn't violate any firmly held principles, who cares? We could do accent. We could do a show about accents. I think that would be quite fun to do. I don't know what the actual premise would be, but I like the idea of doing voices because I like doing characters. We do a lot of that on here, don't we? Anyway, I've just realised I don't know if meeting the other Maiko is going to work. What with the freezing, but I guess we'll find out quite soon. Because having made nothing, we're almost at the time to transport a new Maiko into that. So I'm just going to write down what I was going to write down to begin with. These are the characters that I think are going to be on the C2 universe, and in fact, I'm going to revise my idea of people with regular shows. I'm going to say, let's combine that, I guess, with the regulars in the chat, especially with the people who are here. Everyone who's helping me create this, unless you tell me specifically you don't want to be involved, your name's going on it. And please tell me if I miss you, because we've had quite a few people popping in and out today, so I don't want to miss it. I don't want to mess up. You're not forgotten. You're just not remembered. So we've got Maiko, we've got Egg, we've got Greg. Egg and Greg. Why aren't you a comedy double act? Me too. Obviously, Arby's there. We've got Sheeda. We've got, Sheeda. I'm going to leave it like that because you did say you wanted to be a robot earlier, and that does look like a sort of GLaDOS thing. We've got Steino, right? We've got, what am I doing today? It's this Bluetooth keyboard. Steino. We've got Spooky, who was here earlier, but has abandoned me yet again. Who else? We've got Stone, of course. We've got Uridov. Uridov I see as sort of our Q, or our what's the Punisher's version called? Microchip. In that, Uridov is, I think, the role within C2 is like the knower, right? The knowledgeable one, the one who has all this information and translations at their fingertips. So I can see Eurodov playing, a primary support role, if that makes any sense. Support role within the universe, but as a character, obviously very important. Yeah, of course. Craig, what is it about C2? Rowan's here, of course. We've got Rowan. Wow, singularity housed, and yeah, that works perfectly. That's not a strained acronym at all. It's all right. I've frequently been a listener and not so much a participant, which I know I feel really bad because obviously I rely on heavy audience participation. Yeah, that'd be cool. Sorry, I missed your test stream, right? I didn't see how it went. I'll find out how it was. I think well, as far as I know, it went very well. Cool. Of course we got Null. Null, you're not forgotten. You're gone, but not forgotten. So we got Null. I feel like I'm missing some really obvious names here, but I'm just blanking. I'm just blanking. No, that's got. I mean, Sunday's a packed day. You'd be going on quite late even if you wanted to do today, but you could do today. You just you'd have to find a time slot. Think who have we got today? After me, we've got Arby, Null, Henry. Is Henry doing a stream today? I'm not sure. We've got a few hours of content coming up after me anyway. So this is the list so far. We can come back to this later. Let's have a little look at who won, and then we'll see if we are going to meet We'll see if we're going to meet a Myco today. Technology might have failed us. We'll find out, won't we? Sinful hand. What could that machine be made to do? Sinful hand-holding, even during apocalypse. What could that machine have been built to do? So it looks like we've got a winner currently. I'm just going to see whether I'm onto a winner with my technology. So I'm going to be closing the competition. Anyone who hasn't put in their bets and still has money left to spend, still has peaches left to spend, do put in your bets now. But otherwise, we've got ourselves a winner, I believe. Who is that? There we go. That seems to be our winner. So whether or not we actually get to meet them or whether they'll open that's my promise. If we don't get to meet them today, then they will open the show next week. I promise we will meet them sooner or later. Okay. So let's just popping over into studio mode very quickly just to see if we can't meet our little friend here. So I know I've just been talking about dead air being the worst thing you can do, and yet I'm doing it just because I'm not smart enough to concentrate on more than one thing at once. So let's just see if I can't make it appear. It doesn't look like we're going to meet our other Myco today, but I'm not cheating you. I promise. We are going to meet this creature at some point. Okay, it's just not going to be today. So in that case, we're we've reached an awkward moment. That's how I always plan to end it. Is meeting the new Myco. So the idea of ending a show without meeting a new version of myself in our transporter lab is quite upsetting. In a show where we've talked so much about not recognizing a version of yourself, I've been presented with a version of trying to end Multiverse, an episode of Multiverse, without a get out plan, without knowing what it is that I'm actually looking at. So I will keep this very businesslike and say, I'm going to save this file. We're going to come back to it. I promise next week we're going to do some actual work, unless we start having an interesting conversation, in which case we absolutely will not be. So I'll just bring myself back one last time just to celebrate. Look at that happy little cherub. So we've got, as I said, RB coming up, and then we've got Null coming up after RB. What comes up after Null? Anybody knows? I think Drazza knows, because I think it's on the little GIF that we put on Twitter. But until then, I do love you all, and I feel like I should have a little saying. Maybe that's something we'll workshop as well. Like keep watching the skies, although not that, because that's already a thing. But something that tells you all to be good to every version of yourself. Maybe I'll smash together Leonard Nimoy and Jerry Springer and say, be good to every version of yourself, everybody. Be kind to yourself and each other. Until next time, love you all. Goodbye.